If you'd like to try what we make at Superstition, it's as easy as going to our website, superstitionmeadery.com, clicking on Web Store, and you're shopping. Make sure you follow us on social media because we release new products almost every week, and you might just find your next favorite craft beverage. Cheers. Hey guys, we're gonna pull a nail on something I've never had before. This is Aphrodisia that we made last year, and it's aging in a cherry brandy barrel. So if you guys have followed along and you've tried different Aphrodisia variants, you know that we'll do rum and bourbon and all kinds of really cool barrels that kind of make something evocative of a port. So port is one of my favorite things if I'm not drinking mead. And when you make port, you're gonna start fermenting some wine, and you're gonna stop that fermentation by blending in distilled wine called aguardiente in Portugal, and it makes a really beautiful thing. It ages in barrels for years. So we're barrel aging a pyment, which is when we ferment honey and wine grapes together in a spirit barrel. And so we're gonna get some of that flavor of the spirit barrel going into the Aphrodisia. And what's really kind of cool about this cherry brandy barrel, we'll find out if it's good in a minute, but in America, legally, you could never make a fortified mead. At least not now, the way the rules are written. The distillate has to be from the same fruit. So if you make a wine and you distill wine, you can fortify it with that, and you can make a port in America. We could make it right here if we wanted to, but you couldn't actually do a fortified pyment. And so I think this might be the closest thing, because we found this cherry brandy barrel to try and make something that would taste like if we had actually distilled a pyment, fortified a fermenting pyment, and created sort of an Aphrodisia fortified mead. So there are ways that we can work around the regulations, or not around them, with them really, but to kind of, you know, in a cheeky way, find techniques that are accessible to us legally that we can talk about in a video and actually utilize to create a flavor profile that otherwise would be unobtainable. So let's pull this nail and see how it's going. I've already sanitized the nail and the bung in case I have to vent this. I've got my ambassador glass waiting right here, and some spare nails in sanitizer behind me. And that should be pullable at this point. Nice stream. No need to vent the bung. It's a little lighter in color than I was expecting, but it looks beautiful. So this barrel, we've got our Cabernet Sauvignon Aphrodisia in here, and it's only been filled one time. Before that, at one point in time, it was a charred American oak barrel that someone made cherry brandy in, and now we're going to see how this is tasting. So for comparison's sake, I just went up and pulled a nail on our sherry brandy barrel-aged Aphrodisia, which I've also never tried before. So this is gonna be kind of cool. And sherry is an amazing wine, or it can be an amazing wine. I've had some non-amazing sherries and some amazing sherries, but I have a feeling this is gonna be a pretty cool barrel for Aphrodisia as well. It smells like cherries. There's definitely cherry brandy in there. In Aphrodisia, it's made from Cabernet grapes, but you know, really big, bold cabs have so many cool, dark, rich, red fruit, purple fruit flavors that you can get in there depending upon the grapes and the terroir and the yeast that you use and the fermentation temperature. There's so many factors that go into making alcohol. But cherry is something I definitely pull out of Aphrodisia on its own. It just smells amazing. Dominant cherries for sure, a little bit of honey. I can smell Aphrodisia. It's at least very familiar. That tastes like a ruby port. So I think my favorite ports are tawnies. You're talking 10 years plus in barrels. And around that 20-year mark, you start to get some really rich oxidative notes. This does not have that, but it's bright and fun and delicious. Wow. It's awesome. It tastes just like a ruby port, and that's what we were going for with this project. That is pretty cool. I feel like it could sit in the barrel a little bit longer, so I'm not gonna pull it out tomorrow, but If it wasn't a bottle tomorrow, it would be delicious. I think a few more months, we'll get a little bit more of that cherry brandy in there. But I don't really want too much more because it is really approaching a spot that I want it to be at. Now, we'll do this sherry. It's darker. I know there's a little more in this sample, but even when they were kind of at the same level, the other glass was definitely a bit lighter. So I think this is pulling some color out of the staves. Oh, it smells like oak too. That is a totally different barrel. I don't think that I've ever pulled a sample from or tried a sherry barrel aged mead of any kind. So I didn't know really what to expect from this. That tastes a little bit more like the classic Aphrodisia flavor than the one with the cherry brandy in it. But there's something somehow more. The oak is really nice, but I think from the sherry there is like a bit of an oxidative flavor, and sherries are often aged for a long time, and that's one of the qualities they can have. And then there's like a drying sort of mouthfeel in the finish where it starts off semi-sweet like a lot of our meads are, but it's transitioning into this sort of sherry finish. Wow. Totally unique. I mean, the cherry just pops right out of there. That's the first thing you notice for sure. I think these would be really, really fun even today if you were in our tasting room having a flight and comparing different types of barrel treatments that happen to the exact same product. And that's always one of the really fun things that we do here when we'll have a series of variants coming out with different barrels. So from a production standpoint, it's a little easy in the beginning because you're taking the same thing you happen to have, I don't know, excess is the right word, but you made enough of to go and fill some barrels. And then it gets challenging when it comes down to, choosing when and how you want to communicate this with, label design and everything. And if we want to really have these stand right alongside the other Aphrodisia variants that we've done. And I think that these are great examples of that, because if you had our rum and bourbon and gin and vermouth barrel-aged Aphrodisias, and then this happened to pop up in a flight with cherry brandy, you'd be like, whoa, that is different and delicious, and the sherry is so unique, and that finish is unlike any Aphrodisia I've had. These are two welcome new members of the Aphrodisia family. So, wow. Cheers.